Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Dr. Amoah, is accusing Minority Leader Dr. Kessie Latofo of seeking to play politics with the current economic crisis. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin on Thursday signed a warrant recalling members of Parliament from its break to work on some urgent business. JoyNews understands the House is expected to consider some crucial outstanding loans. According to the Minority Leader, it appears government has not learned any lessons from its current predicament brought about by overborrowing, but Dr. Amoah says some of these loans are critical to meet the country's short-term needs.
This is not a time to do politics, especially my friends, minority, lead coming from this strong background of finance and economics. I think sometimes we should allow professionalism to override politics, because he's a very intelligent person that I respect so much. We just don't borrow because we want to borrow. Just check all the borrowing trends on the globe, because productivity has been impaired for about 21 months as a country. Just consider that our debt to GDP went up because if GDP had been impaired by productivity that was not actually prevailing, and that we had run short of revenue generation. Remember, we had about 12 billion revenue shortfalls, and two arms government can borrow. One is domestically raising revenue or borrowing. So if you had impaired productivity, which led to revenue shortfalls, government has obligation to perform. Some of them are even statutory, and you cannot say you sit down for people to die, your country to collapse. The essential services in the area of health, even infrastructure, and in education. So sometimes there is a need to even stick to this debt financing to get your economy to the level that you can adjust your fiscal policies in a way that can restore the economy and put you back on track. So I think it's not something that government is doing out of arbitrariness. It's well thought through policy that government is embarking.
We can go back to Parliament, where majority and minority MPs are playing blame game as far as government's borrowing is concerned. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with more. Kweku, what exactly has the minority leader been saying with regards to loans by government? Hello, Kweku Asante. Kweku Asante, if you can hear me, I'm asking what exactly the minority has been saying with regards to government borrowing.
So yesterday, when the Speaker of Parliament signed that notice recalling members of Parliament sitting on the 2nd of May to consider some aid, the minority leader put out a statement. Dr. Kessie Latofo, and he says, I have been inundated with calls asking Parliament why Parliament has been recalled for an urgent business. I wish to state that the minority leadership and minority MPs learned about the recall from the media, just like anyone else. I have since been informed that Parliament will sit for only 1 day to consider loan agreements currently before it. It is difficult to comprehend why the NPP government has the courage to continue borrowing after borrowing a country into a ditch. So this is the minority leader claiming that the current economic crisis is as a result of the reckless borrowing of the NPP government, and that he expected that the government would tone down on the borrowing and to recall MPs from their break to come to Parliament to approve more loans will just spell more doom for the economy.
So which specific loans are before the House, and is there bipartisan agreement on them? So
the loans are three. The first one is a financing agreement between the government and the International Development Bank, the World Bank, for $60 million, the third additional financing for Ghana COVID Preparedness Response Project. The second is a financing agreement between the government of Ghana and the World Bank for $150 million to finance the West Africa Food System Resilience Program, Phase 2. The final one is the on-lending agreement between the government of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, and the World Bank Group and the Development Bank of Ghana for 170 million euros to support the establishment of a financially sustainable development bank under the financing contract. So these are the three agreements. There are no agreements on both sides to pass this. Indeed, the last time this matter came up on the floor of Parliament was the last day of sitting. And because there were no agreements, these decisions had to be deferred. Indeed, for one of the loans, a vote was taken and the minority won the vote. Only that the deputy majority leader, Alexander Martin, challenged that vote but a new division was not taken. That question was deferred. And so when Parliament resumes on the 2nd to deal with these matters, it's expected that that vote will be taken again before all these two other ones will happen. But the minority have served notice that they are not going to support government get this.
Still on politically related issues, the opposition NDC says it disagrees with the decision of the police not to prosecute MP for Abetife and Minister for Food and Agriculture Brian Achampo for his comments regarding the 2024 elections. According to the police, the comments does not pass the test of criminality. Kweku Asante is still on Zoom with us. Why, Kweku, is the NDC in disagreement with the police on this?
So they first say that this comment by Brian Achampo, which the police say did not pass the criminality test, is not accurate, and that they still stand by their same demand that a statement by Brian Achampo breaches Section 207 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. That is the offence of conduct conducive to the breach of peace. The NDC, according to this statement signed by the National Communication Officer, Sami Jemfi, that specific comments of Brian Achampo will incite members of the NPP to cause mayhem during the 2024 election. That is on their first call. They've also been registering their displeasure as to the handling of the police investigations into the murder of Salis Wulacheme, a 28-year-old teacher trainee graduate who met his untimely death after he was stabbed by what the NDC described as NPP bandits. They are also talking about how they are not satisfied with how the police have been investigating the violence that characterized some part of the country during the 2020 elections. That led to the loss of lives, for instance, at Techiman. They say that they are not happy with the lukewarm attitude with which the police has been conducting that research and the investigation into that specific matter. So despite having attended that meeting with the IGP to offer their support to the police in setting up a new branch to deal with electoral-related matters, they still say that they have significant disagreements with the police, and they think that these matters must be ironed out. And in particular, the Brian Achampo comment, they say the police must relook at the decision not to prosecute Brian Achampo.
Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante with those details. Let's get